And that then, of course, then they're labeled by the Palestinian society, and can't go back home because of shame or whatever. And then the next thing you know, you see them on drugs, or you see them selling themselves in the streets and whatever. But where did it start? It started because she was being abused by her husband.
So the need is...
So there's a need for education, first of all, in how to treat women, so that, but also for the women to have protection by the laws. And I don't know that the laws here really protect the woman in cases of domestic violence, and then and have, because you were saying it's, for example, on the drugs, it's the government's job. I think it's civil society. I mean, I think civil society has to provide for the shelters and for rehabilitation and for the education.
Yeah, that's what, you know, that's what I mentioned in the beginning in terms of just how to be a citizen, which implies knowing your rights and what the government or the police can or cannot do. So therefore, you're confident to go to the one-stop shop, well, no, not the one-stop shop, but you're confident to go and put in a complaint, and that you don't fear, you know, any ramifications. And I honestly believe this needs to be somehow constructed within the educational process, because otherwise, where are they going to get this information? You can start these organizations, and I commend Hanan Ashrawi for starting up AMSA, but not everyone feels comfortable going there and learning about it on their own, you know, unless it's somehow implanted in their brain from an early age, and then they may be hungry to learn more about it, and who knows, it may very well encourage them to pursue, you know, a career in law or something like that.
Like Sudan, they agreed and they signed on this agreement, international agreement. I think that any international agreement, as a lawyer, I think that any international agreement, when you sign it, it becomes like let's annex to your internal laws. Am I right in that?
I don't know about
that. It should. There is like tens of agreements that talk about women and how should we preserve women and issues like that. But nothing is.
We don't have a laws to that.
Yes, we don't have like laws to even the honor killing, or how do you say it? But I want to say actually we made a project in the organization I work in, and we make reports about 3 issues: domestic violence and right to education. Here we are talking about students and domestic violence, right to education. What is the third one? It's very important. العنف الأسري والحق في التعليم. إيش الثالث؟ بتذكر هيدي. Okay, I will remember the third later. So we can like talk about the main topics here, and we start to discuss it if you.
Can you add literacy for like women? Literacy.
Yeah. Does anyone know what tribal laws are?
Yeah.
We still have, actually it's a problem because we
It's not a written law though.
It's not written,
But it's
enforced
by
actually more
society.
than the written law, and it does create a problem because I was talking to the governor of Ramallah, and she said the worst thing and the most difficult thing is having to deal and solve problems when she knows that it's, you know, you need to do it by the law, but yet tribal law, which is not written law, but the way they've been doing these things, and that's another area that is extremely making things difficult here to have law and order, because we still applying those laws. Now, what I would like to do now, so we can have a report ready and stuff, is to actually maybe we can put the areas that we talked about, like in these certain areas, and then we can go into recommendations, like the areas that that we can, and you can help me with this, Claudia. Women issues, drug issues that I've heard. human rights issues,
Human and civil rights.
Power.
limitations of power. I think that's an extremely important thing.
Sorry, but I think the women issue was because the cultural issue. So we shouldn't forget about it.
Because
Well,
culture has
you-
been separated from love.
It's an issue.
Yeah, but it's a cultural issue, but you need laws to protect women against those that we think cultural issues. Yeah. So if we can just maybe come up with like maybe five main areas, five main themes, so we can like build on it. So we have women, maybe you can call them out.
Well, the one suggestion I made wasn't a theme, but I think it's important.
The legal team. Yeah,
to-
that's where I was going to start, actually.
To recommend a legal team be put together through the network to start addressing the need for a judicial system. I mean, legal
Commercial
system.
law, you name
Well,
one.
legal system. I
Okay.
mean, we don't want to restrict it.
Well, but if we broke it down for them, perhaps
Yeah,
then it would be
okay.
easier for them to put
Commercial law, civil law, family, domestic relations, family law. I mean, what am I going to go into? Patent law. I mean, there's all criminal law.
Well, the ones that we,
Basically, what we see a
Oh,
problem with,
here,
as
now?
we coming from the outside and we think, hey,
I think those
it's pretty
three are
good
good.
there.
commercial law, civil law, family law, that covers a broad spectrum.
Criminal.
Criminal law.
But let's
Yeah.
let's be
Yes,
specific,
please.
more
I
specific.
have a question. My name is Sanina de Argentina. I would like to know if there are any project laws in Palestine regarding the right of return.
To return.
Return
Right of return.
project.
That's, I don't know if we, don't really know.
If there is a law pertaining to the right of return, the only one I... If there was... Yeah, with the...
If we really think about it, it's really a great idea to have something like that, as they do have in Israel. Because they do have the law of return, the right of return.
And birthright.
And anyone, it doesn't matter, and by the way, theirs is so broad, if you become a Jew, then you gain that right of return.
What field of law is that?
Exactly.
Migrate to Israel.
Exactly, so I think that's a great idea to
They would
actually,
have to fight it at the international...
to actually add a law of return.
No, I meant like, I'm sorry.
Did you write it down?
Yeah, I'm writing.
Right of no, the right of return.
Well, we want to be specific in terms of how to define it, because I don't think we could put together a team of law of return, a team for,
No, I think it would be like more of a recommendation to establish
right of return.
a law for the right of return similar to what Israel has. And by the way, that their law
And
is...
birthright.
And birthright.
Like the Jewish kids, every year, free of charge, after high school or college, whatever it is, get a free trip here because there's a foundation that pays their way and they get from, in fact, when my daughter got kicked out for 25 years, that was her last words to them.